My name is Paris Prokopis. I am the account manager here at MIG. Welcome to our Replace FRX webinar. We're going to be focusing on planning, budgeting, and forecasting in this webinar today. But before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items. If you see the window for mic and speakers, you can use this for your computer speakers to listen to the webinar. Otherwise, you can choose the telephone and just dial in using the information provided and listen to the webinar on your phone. And later on in the webinar, we will have a Q&A period, but submit your questions via the questions panel here and any comments that you may have, and then we'll have time for that after the presentation. And some of the questions you may ask may be relevant to what is being talked about at the moment, and we may interject that at any point as well. But please enter your questions in here, and then we'll have that at the end of our presentation. And just a real quick agenda on what we're doing today. We're going to talk a little bit about MIG and what we do. And then we're going to focus on planning, budgeting, and forecasting with Solver. And then we're going to have a live demo, finally followed by our Q&A period. So MIG specializes in the implementation of financial and business management systems. We work to help our customers streamline their processes and, of course, maximize their productivity. We work with Microsoft solutions. We work with Dynamics GP, SL, CRM, SharePoint, and Business Intelligence. Well over 15 years experience in the business, and we're mainly focused on mid-market to enterprise customers. And we are also a Microsoft Gold certified partner, and we are BBB accredited and also a GSA approved vendor. And we're also part of the National Registry of CPA sponsors. And if you are taking this for CPE credit, you can just notify us via email after this webinar, and we'll give you that information. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Tom Franks from Solver, and he'll talk about planning, budgeting, and forecasting.
Thank you so much, Paris. And anyway, Solver is the name of our company, and BI360 is the product. We have been fast growing, and won some awards on that. You can kind of see in the lower right-hand corner. But primarily, each and every customer that we have is in some way looking to replace FRX. And you'll see we do a lot more than that, but at the very base, that is what we are doing. And we believe we've written an easier to use and more powerful product at the same time. So our vision is to speed up and improve decision-making processes by providing the best possible BI suite that's easiest to learn. Best is in blue because we wanted to make one tool that replaced many different solutions that a lot of our competitors do, and easiest to learn really means that for the people designing reports, we wanted that to be an Excel-based experience because those people know how to use Excel. It's what accountants use and what business users use, and we want to capitalize on that as we go forward. So next slide, please, Paris. Some of our clients, and we have a bunch of them, and you can see them vary greatly in size and a lot of different organizations, including a bunch on the East Coast of the U.S. Our architecture is a dual architecture, and that's kind of unique. FRX, Management Reporter, are all live reporting solutions, and we have dotted lines that pace what we call a live solution. And I will start by just showing live reporting off of GP and SL data. Then secondly, we also have as an option a data warehouse, and some solutions use cubes. We use a standard SQL database for that, but that allows us to combine data from not just GP or SL, but maybe put in CRM, be it Microsoft or some other brand, put in a other data source, be it payroll, industry-specific billing package, or anything else, fixed assets, something else out there, or many other things out there to combine together in that data. Do not just reporting, so planning, that means budgeting and forecasting. And then last, we have a dashboard solution, and that dashboard does both showing these Excel reports over the browser, but also allows for true dashboards, and we'll show some of that today as well. So let's go ahead on some of the specific things versus FRX and Management Reporter with BI 360, where we didn't try to write the same thing as FRX. We can do what FRX and Management Reporter does, plus we use all the fields in General Ledger. In GP, that's the account category field. In SL, there's a field, I forget the name, of a very similar type, kind of a category of GL accounts. We can dynamically put those rows and columns in. In FRX, Management Reporter, you have to define each and every row and each and every column. We have shortcuts for that. We have much better formatting, all the Excel formatting you can do. We can use this for ad hoc reporting. And then last, we can optionally do this on all the subledgers: receivables, payables, inventory, sales orders, purchase orders, payroll, whatever else is in your Dynamics, BI 360 can see it. And then last, this is kind of a unique one, is we can do a cell level control. FRX and Management Reporter, it's all rows and columns, but if you want even the cell at the very top or the very bottom or the middle of the report to do something different, you can't do that, but we can, and I'll show a quick example of that as well. So let's go ahead, take a look at software. So long PowerPoint. If you can change the presenter, here we go. And first thing I have up on my screen is a BI 360 report. I am in Excel 2010. It works with 2013 and 2007. Doesn't work with older versions like 2003 because we used a very high-end XML call to do the SQL calls that you'll see us do. So I have a reporting ribbon menu. Later on I'll show the planning ribbon menu. And in this report I have a couple hundred lines of financial report. I'm going to put away my little menu. We have some graphs involved in that as well, and of course the conditional formatting. All the Excel formatting is available to us. We don't take any of that away. Okay. Second thing that I want to show is that any of the things that come from the database, in this case Dynamics GP and that Fabricam database, you have loaded on everybody's system as the little test or demonstration system. If I right-click, go past the normal things you see in Excel on a right-click, I can drill down to either the summary or the detail table, and I'll choose the detail table. And that brings up all the transactions that came through here, including the customer name if we want, and then of course to the right, the debits and credit amounts that came through that, and all the other fields that can be important, transaction batch numbers and so on. So we have that drill down throughout everything. I'm going to kind of go under the hood now as a designer and show that that long report I showed is not so long here. It's only 40 lines. So how did we do that? If I take a look at row 7, and here's our layout editor. So instead of one screen for rows, a whole nother screen for columns, we have one that does both. Here is our here is what we have inside of the this row. Hang on a second. Let me get that here as well. There it is. So I have now in my row 7, I have my revenues. If I bring this up, I have a whole bunch of GL accounts here. And if we take a look, they're all nice and together. I can actually hold down my control key. If I need to add another GL account to that range, I can do it. I'm going to take it out of the row below. I now have 2 ranges. Ranges exist in FRX and Management Reporter, but you can only print the total of that range. You're not allowed to print everything inside of that range, but that's what we do. So this expanding button allows us to print everything in a range, allows us to display blank records if we wish or not. So as I go back and run this, we'll see if account 4180 moved. We'll show how this moves, and then I have a special thing here that I'm going to show at the end as well. So watch row 7 and row 10 as they expand, and that is the secret, the third secret to our success. And it's not so much that it makes it easier to write a report initially, it's that it makes it easier to maintain as you're adding new GL accounts, new departments, new segments to your chart of accounts. They will automatically put in the range of the report where it is. So if someone adds account 4113, it would go in between 4112 and 4. Here's our 4180 has shown up here where we asked it to. It's no longer below, and then that's expanded our report. Okay, at the bottom, I actually did something. One of our people we showed this to said, you know, the reports are nice for kind of that high-level financial statement, but we have people who need to look at, they need to look at revenue and payroll expenses, but that's not their job to control that. Their job's to control the overhead expenses. So we added 2 extra lines to this. So I'm going to take my favorite expense account. I have different vendors underneath that. I then can open up from Delecky Catering, and I can see the invoices that I had for January on that one. So this is a nice little formatted report that we can do. All of this data from GP, and SL is similar, comes from the general ledger. We've written those vendor name and vendor numbers and document numbers in the GL detail, so we have that available to us. And a very nice way to help take a look at that. And you can move on to any other expense and take a look at the transaction or transactions that made that up. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick minute and put this report away, and I'm going to actually write one from scratch. And because MIG does both SL and GP, I'm going to go ahead and write the report from SL. And it's often very helpful to see how long it takes or how not so long it takes to write a report from scratch. So I'm going to do a trial balance, and we'll put in the account number, the description, and then the sub-account. And that's for GP, that's the other segments of the general ledger account or account string. So I have in SL all of this data, and this is metadata. So we've defined these so we can access them. And I'm going to drag the account number over, create a new row every time I have that. I have all the details of that automatically joined, so I'm going to bring in the description, and then I'm going to bring in that sub-account that I had before. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my period balance, and I'm going to drag that over twice, and then I have my date functions. That's the last thing that we've predefined, is all of these date functions. So if I want period to date, I can put that in. If I want year to date, I can do that as well. If I want last year or quarters or running months and so on, or 2 or 3 years ago, all of that's available to me. And I'm going to just take these two and make them a little bit bigger. I can still put that out to the side. I will format this for just a second, put our accounting in here. I don't like decimal places. do a little bold and underline, and again, make it look more report-ish. I'm now ready to run this. So I'm going to pick which sub-accounts I want to run it for. We'll go ahead and do all of them. And then what period am I going to run this for? I do have a pretty old demo database, but as we bring this up, there's my account numbers. And again, the expanding took over and did that. Here are my period to date and year to date dollars. If I go ahead and right click, I can drill down again, details if I wish, and again have the fields that come up. I can remove a few of these fields. I get asked every once in a while. There's some project stuff here, so if you have project with SL, you'll be very happy. If you don't, you cannot see them. Okay, so I'm going to do one more thing on this report. So I have it here. I'm going to first add a total. If I right click, I have a auto total here. And then secondly, I didn't do much with the sub account, so I'm going to go back and fix that now. And in this Contoso company, the sub account is named into 5 different segments. So I'm going to drag location here, and I'm going to take the location name or description, put that in, and then now if I take a look at location, it's here, and I can either permanently pick what locations I want to run this for, or better yet, ask. So I'm going to ask, and then I have an option to allow multiple selections. Sometimes you just want to see one at a time. Sometimes, sure, see a bunch, and if I see a bunch, I can create a sheet per value, and that's kind of neat. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And I did accidentally do that twice, so I'm just going to pick my locations twice. Let's go ahead and run this. So take a look at the bottom. So now I can go through and look at each of my departments, or excuse me, locations, and be able to see the accounts that make that up. So kind of a nice little way to do that. The beauty of this is one line that I'm querying to the SQL database for SL, bringing it into Excel, and then spreading it out by both expanding tabs, of course expanding rows. You saw I can do expanding columns, but I didn't do any on this report, and I just wanted to show that for a minute. So that is how someone would design a report. Only took a couple of minutes to do that. Okay. And all of this that you've seen so far can be done in our introductory priced replace FRX, and that starts at $1,995 for the software to do that, and just a little bit of training and you are ready to write reports and run them through Excel. We have 2 other ways to present reports, and I'll show those to you. They are extra modules in our suite, so they will cost a little bit extra, and the folks at MIG can help with that. This is our web portal. This is a portal, and Management Reporter has a portal. That only allows you to take reports you already ran in Management Reporter and then take those and see them when they were run. Ours is a little different. It allows you to run these reports on demand and run them interactively. So reports that are chosen for me, again, my name's up in the right-hand corner, I can take a look at this. This is a report that takes a profit and loss statement and then creates a auto narrative, we call it. So in Excel, we've written a narrative on this. The profitability this month was great, profits of $78,000 compared to a loss of $4,000 the same month last year. That sure qualifies as great in my book. And we have the graphs and charts and then things at the bottom and regards the finance team. I can run this if I change company or entities here and run it for this one. leave the month the same, but whatever the designer said we could see. I'll refresh this. It's requerying live from the database, bringing this back in. If there are newer transactions, it would, but now for the Europe company, the profitability this month was weak. Profits of $8,000 compared to $18,000 the same month last year. And again, slightly different graph, kind regards finance team and so on. And of course the P&L's over here as well. So we were able to change not only the numbers and the graphs, but also the adjectives, and that's kind of very helpful. We've had people write those in Word in the old days, and take hours before the executives even saw the financial statements so they could see these narratives as well. So make that part of the report. That makes it easy, and go on. So back to our library. I have a whole bunch of reports available to me, but one of the things is we can make an unlimited number of folders if we wish. We can also have a set of favorites. So just by highlighting the little toggle, that can be one of our favorites. They can include reports written in Excel, but also include dashboards. I'm bringing up dashboards off of some Dynamics GP data and sales order processing module. In this case, we are looking at order types for invoice and return, the posted ones. And this shows our sales over months, products, and then salesperson. But these can be made interactive. So if I click on Gregory, my top salesman for that period, I can see, I think I double-clicked instead of single-clicked, because it went straight there, bypassed that customer. So we have a customer level. Notice it redrew the other charts. I can click on the customer, go down to the month that they made their nice big sale of, looks like phones, and that's great. So very interactive, easy to use dashboards. We can show more of that. The beauty of these dashboards is they use the same security as the Excel, the same metadata, so the naming of the fields is exactly the same, and they can also use reports and even pieces of reports. We call it KPI, or Key Performance Indicator. Second way we have to push these reports out is what's called a publisher. So this allows us to batch reports and push them out to people. So, you know, portals are great in dashboards, but people still have to say, hey, I want to check our sales or check our profitability. This will actually show up in their email, and everybody checks their email. So in this case, I have a monthly set of financials. I have 4 BI 360 reports combined with a PDF and a PowerPoint. So could have had a Word document in there too. Have these set up to actually be sent as an Excel workbook by email, and also a PDF to a folder. If you send it to a folder like that, SharePoint can take over and manage those reports as well, and then even a merged PDF, put all of those documents into one big one and stick that someplace special too. That can be done automatically on a date and time of the month, or you can press Run Now after the last journal entry and push that through. Okay, so that is our publisher. Last one that I want to show among reports, I'm going to go back to here, and I want to bring up a report that I call our modern P&L. And I think profit and loss statements are the most exciting of financial reports, so excuse me if I don't show a balance sheet or a cash flow, but we have them. There's two things on this I wanted to show. First, I like the way this uses some of the graphing capabilities that BI 360 has. Secondly, we have head count in here, so we can use that unit account in GP or statistical ledger in SL, you may call it. They're all available in BI 360 too. But one of the things that we did is did some nice big fonts, but one or two things you just can't do in Management Reporter. or FRX, I have the bottom line of the report, that profit for the period, here at the top too. I just repeated it, equal E80, equal E81. So of course that's this one. Oops, excuse me, that one. So extra easy to do in Excel. Everyone knows how to do that. But the short attention span executive can see that without even bothering to scroll down. Same with profit margin and other calculated fields. Notice that these calculated fields, of course, are different than the rest of the actual year-to-date column further down in the report. So we have that cell level control if we want to help make a nice little summary here at the top. I won't call it a dashboard, but some folks do. Okay, so I wanted to just take a quick little break, see if there are any questions in the question bin, and then I'll talk some more and move this on to the budgeting module that we have.
Okay, as before, you just type your question in the question section down at the bottom of the window. And there is one question, can you publish 2 reports to anyone in the organization? I think you kind of showed that.
Yes, you can, actually. So I didn't really say that specifically. Great question. Yes, this publisher tool that I have, when you email this to somebody and pick the people you're emailing it to, they do not have to be the named users of the system that interactively run the reports. You can email it to anybody in your organization or enterprise and be able to do that. So great question. Yes, you can get those departmental managers, and they don't have to be part of the users of BI360 and, of course, not of Dynamics. Thank you. Great question.
Okay. It's the only one thus far. I would continue on for a moment and then go from there.
Okay, this is the planning menu of BI360. That is an additional module, so you can buy that only if you require it. It is in many ways a replacement of Forecaster, and in addition to, if people aren't interested in Forecaster or see that there are going to be no new versions of Forecaster in the future. In this case, I'm going to stop being the designer of reports, and I'm just going to be Tom Franks, the head of Department 100 in just one of the companies that I have. I can do reporting and planning for multiple companies at a time. I can also do it for multiple years into the future. If you have a 3-year lease on a truck, spread it out for 3 years. If you have a 5-year contract with one of your customers, put it in for 5 years. Nothing stopping you here. Okay, so I have assignments that are just to me. So I have 10 here to help me show things. Usually I just have a handful. And these are reports that we can fill out. So I'm going to have some notes my budget manager told me to do, and I have a couple of weeks to do mine. I'm going to start with the other expenses. So it remembers my company, my department. I'm doing this in October of 2011 to do budgeting for 2012. So you will see that we're going to put some forecast data here as well as last year's actuals. And then I have areas to do budgeting, and then I have accounts budgeted on other forms, and that's data you'll see that is only there so we can get a total departmental expenses so I can see everything I'm doing in Department 100 as I do this. So I'm going to press run. That is going to give me my report. I'm going to take away my 2 little menus. What's in yellow in this tab, it says enter data here. What's in blue or white is don't enter data there. We've had people change those colors to anything they want. It's Excel. It's easy to do that. This input form is written with our report writer, and that's the most important thing I want you to remember. So if you want to have other fields there, if you want to have 2 years of history instead of 1, if you want to have other fields listed, that's great. can do it. It's all in the report writer. So if I go to the right, I have last year's history, including 2 months of forecast, because we went through October. Then secondly, if I go down, I have those accounts budgeted on other forms. I'll show you payroll and fixed assets, and we should have time to do that. And then at the bottom, I have my year-to-date. So someone gave me a baseline budget of looks like a previous budget with a percentage change. I've got some red and green arrows and some yellow, so I've got work to do. And let's go ahead and do it. So I have 4 different ways I can enter data into this budget template. The first one's pretty much like any other one. I can have my auditing expense, and those folks will be in April and give me a bill. I just type it in like any other spreadsheet. It does write. You saw that for a second, the last date and timestamp of who entered that and what it was. Secondly, I have, for office supplies, I'm going to use my spread tool or my enter data button. So I click that. It's going to take the top half of the screen and dedicate that to the office supplies. I'll put this little chart away because it's not telling me much yet. I have last year's actuals up here. I have this year's here. And I have a bunch of different ways to spread that if I want to automatically do it. So the first is, let's just copy last year's history. Give us 7% higher than that. Maybe that looks okay. Maybe we want to average 2 years of history. Maybe we want to type in, maybe we only do it quarterly. So we can either quarterly or monthly put in and spread out an even amount, maybe, change it a few percent. And then one of my favorites is trend-based. If there's some real seasonality involved in some of these expenses, we can echo that in through the entered amount. Maybe I want to go down 4% from there. So now I'm about 7 or 8% higher than last year. Put in a comment. Maybe December doesn't quite look right, so I'll increase that, and that's my thing. I can kind of go back to the chart now and see what it's doing and update my Excel, and that's a little happy message that said it did that. So that's number 2. Can spread that any combination of ways. Third way is, and I'll use conferences as really a great example of that. So I'm going to put this away. So the last thing really conferences should be is the same amount every month. That only works if you're going to the same conference every month. And I guess it wouldn't be very good if you were doing that. So most people go to a handful of conferences. So this is actually the accounting department. So maybe we'll go to Convergence. That's in Atlanta this year, a couple months. Actually, I will be there. And then if we want to go to the SL user group, and that's in Reno, Nevada this year. And then if we want to go to the AICPA local event, can do that for mileage and a couple of toll booths. So then we can update that back to Excel and put that back into our thing. So now I have my details. So what I did here is kind of neat. I did below general ledger line item details. Kind of see my graphs a little bit if that helps. But then I store those here. So for Department 100, I want to do conferences and put in detail, but maybe whoever's doing Department 200 or 300, they don't need to do that for conferences. Maybe they want to do it for books or insurance or something else. So they're able to use that as often or as not often as they want. we could write, if someone says, I've had a few people ask for travel, I want to write a special travel template and, actually ask for, how many stars the hotel is and all of that stuff. Can absolutely do that if you want to as well. So that's the third way to enter. So add these. The fourth way is I can still do my any of my Excel stuff. So if I just want $1,000 here and I want to go ahead and do that, I can do it, no problem. If I want to do it and add 1 extra % a month, didn't do that right, so do the old one plus $2. I can do that, and copy and paste. Not sure why that's advantageous, but can do that. Then I can, have that ready to go. So all that Excel stuff, you can do that. But here's the good part. This isn't a designer. Again, I'm just the person doing this. When I save this, I save the numbers. I save those conferences and the below general ledger stuff too. But if someone goes, Excel crazy, that doesn't get saved. It doesn't mess anybody else up. We're saving all this data to a database, the SQL database, so it's multi-user. It's it's set up for that. We're using Excel to enter data. We're using it to display data. We're not using Excel to store data. We're using a SQL database and populating that SQL database usually nightly or very often from GP and SL and those other data sources that you may want. So I'm going to go back down. I'm going to look at my bottom total. So I'm, I got rid of the red arrows. That's a good sign. I've got, of course, I can go back over here and take a look at that. Could have maybe have done a formula here for this year, last year, maybe look at that a little bit. But I'm ready to go. I would save this, but I'm just not, and then move on. So I'm going to go back to my planning menu and pull up the next one. Next one I'll do is personnel. Now, behind the scenes, we've taken that payroll data. Maybe it's from Dynamics, maybe it's from ADP or Paychex or one of those folks. Take that data in and be able to then run this. So watch the expanding happen here. I'm doing, again, the same little department, same division, and so on. I'll put these away. So now I have my set of employees here. I can then take a look at the thing. Maybe I have somebody eligible to retire in August. We'll replace them. New office manager. We'll start the next person. We'll be smart. We'll start them in July. Okay, next section, I can say, when do people get raises? And again, some people it's based on hire date, can do a formula there. Some people it doesn't, so we can just pick months if we wish. Of course, if we want to do a little cut and paste, we can do that as well. If it's a percentage, that's great. If it's a dollar amount, we can do that too. I had a formula for bonuses, and gosh, if someone retires, what happens to the bonus? I don't know. And again, maybe some overtime availability too. So we kind of fill this out. To the right, again, then we have the formulas for all of the gross to net. So we actually did it by days per month, so February's a good bit lower. Have the total compensation, and again, that's just a standard Excel formula. So we're pulling in that salary and then the overtime and the FICA. Let me talk about FICA for a second. That FICA rate we have stored in our data warehouse, so if it gets changed, we only update it one time, or the maximums and so on, and put that in. So use that data warehouse again, and again, workman's comp and so on all through here. And then back at the beginning, I have part-time employees. Allows us to change the rate and the hours and calculate the net. And then at the bottom, I just have all my GL accounts, then the this year, last year, and the variance again, so we can see how we're doing this year versus last year. When I'm ready and done with my department, I'll save that and then move on to the next one. So have as many of these budget templates set up as you want to. They vary, of course, company by company, sometimes department or division at a time. The fixed assets we can put in here. And then that can come through. And I'll go back and enter a fixed asset we hope to buy next year. So human resources needs a get that ready for Munster truck season. I'm making something up and not doing very well, but there's our expense, and if I go to the right, then it will start our depreciation of that in the right month and keep going. So that is another way to help do those fixed assets and put that in, and again, save that to the data warehouse as well. So we can do as many of these as we wish and set those up. Of course, approvers come in and they take a second look at it. Sometimes we even have special forms for the approvers. So kind of have a multi-department version of the personnel one, so you can see multiple departments, but still subtotal by department if you wish, or a whole bunch of other different options. So wanted to take just a quick minute, and we're at a good point to stop and ask some questions. I have a lot of other templates I could show, but I kind of want to take a minute, see what the questions are, and see if there's anything in particular that we can take a look at. So Paris, do you see any?
Okay, yep, not at the moment. I'm sure there'll be more with the Q&A period. So not
sure.
Okay.
Well, while I'm here, I'm just going to show one other report. I'll do this one. This is mainly for our SL folks. It is off an SL database, and what I've got here is a. Let me summarize that up. This is a project-based report. So I said we work off of all the modules, and then I proceeded to show just about everything general ledger except some personnel budgeting. But this allows us to take a look at projects and be able to see the cost categories inside each project, see that summarized as you want to. I mean, I've noticed with most things, but projects specifically, the standard reports written inside are written kind of one size fit all, but if you're a 5-project company, you want them in columns. If you're like a 10 to 35 project company, you'll want them in rows, like this one did. If you're a 35 and over project at any one time, then you need to add an extra setup here to say I want to separate it by company, customer, project manager, or something else and put it in there. Maybe you want to see them on tabs, but the amount of detail you see and how you custom look at these things is so very different for projects, a little more so than vendors and customers and that type of reporting too. But with BI 360, you get to quickly make it the way you want to. So just kind of wanted to show that one as an example as well. Have reports as well on all sorts of other things too, including receivables, payables, sales orders, and so on. Okay, did anybody else pop in a question? Actually, I think I see one here on asking about forecasting. So yes, we do support forecasting and have enough time to show that. So if I take a look at this assignments, I have a set of forecasts in here. I can either do calendar year or rolling forecast options. So I'll do it quickly as that. I'm going to pick just one company again, and in the one department, I'll switch it to the sales department and take a look at this. And put these away. So, in fact, I'm going to bring that back up. I did this on March 2012. That's important from what you'll see because it's a rolling forecast. So we're starting in March of 2011, putting in the 12 months of, last 12 months of actual, and then showing the next 12 months of forecast. So I have budget in on this one, and of course we can change that budget if we want to. We'll keep that consistent, and then secondly, we're able to put over here, fill out the budget for the next month, and so on. So we can put in this data, and now I put that in. So it is my department, so I'm kind of putting this in, but some people might be saying, gosh, you're just typing in numbers willy-nilly. And of course you don't see the huge stack of papers on my desk that I've made that educated number I put in. But I do have companies that have done this with a little more process in it. So I have time to show enough of one of those. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. So in this case, we're kind of doing a modeling, and I have one that we've called the forecast with revenue prediction. So I'm going to run this, and the first thing you'll see is something that looks fairly close to what you've seen before with only one difference. This is a P&L, but I have 3 years of forecast. So I've got 2013 and 14 in along with 2012 and actuals from at least March. So I have that. But what makes this unique is this organization, and it's just one organization, said, you know, I have 11 questions that help me predict my revenue, and they are here. So if one of these changes, if the chance of a new competitor with a similar product and service goes from 40% to 60%, I can enter that. That's going to hurt my sales just a little bit, so it's recalculating the numbers through this and then going back and updating my future sales for that. I could do, of course, the other questions as well in here. Now in my break back in this one, I have my new things. So I've hurt my sales a little bit. Do I need to reduce my full-time salaries a little bit? Maybe I need to really reduce overtime, but maybe I need to do more. Maybe I need to raise my reimbursement for education up a little bit, get a few more skills. Postage is going to go up no matter what I do, and so on. So enter in the expenses that you want to change and put in. Get all of that done, and then voila, at the bottom you have a new bottom line. So that's the old one, here's the new one. So okay, I've made just a tiny little bit more money, even though we had the other problem. Let's go ahead and do that. So that is one way to do this. What is everybody's questions? Of course that's unique. The math is all in Excel, so you can do this and set this up. Maybe you're changing some expenses along with your revenues, whatever it is. But I love the idea of taking and boiling down to a nice small set of questions to be able to do the 15-minute forecast as opposed to spending a whole month doing it, and see what's going on. Okay, so that's a pair of forecasting things. Paris, are there any more questions?
Well, it looks like somebody wants to see a sample of when you have more than 35 departments or contracts.
Okay.
It goes from the previous example you were showing, but if you could show that quickly.
I don't have 35 contracts in my thing. However, I do have a report that kind of shows some of that in, at least in profit centers. So let me go in and run one of these, and I think I can find the right one here. Got a whole bunch of these. We'll do some entities across columns here. This is just one way to do it, and that is, so I have now extra short report, but I'm going to expand these columns here. In fact, I'm not even asking which entities I want, so we've kind of expanded that, but now I've got a whole bunch of different rows on my thing. So it's an actual account here. It could be division, it could be department, something else as I do this. In fact, I can even do that. I think I got just enough time. So we'll put department here. Put department description, or it'll look really funny. Now if I run this, again, I don't have enough departments to really make that impressive, but there's our department, and then I have each period here too. So we're kind of running that through. So very easy to help change around these reports and take a look at them. Great question. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think that ends our questions. And then, are you all set with everything you wanted to show?
I am.
All right. We'll just retake control here and continue on. We do want to make sure we are finished at the right time. We had our questions throughout, so I'll give it a moment here to see if any other quick questions pop up. And if not, yeah, I think we're going to continue on here just for the sake of time. And if you have any other questions, we'll have an email address you can send it to, or if you'd like to see a demo and what have you, or a more detailed demo. So now MIT does offer support plans. We offer a way to you pay one annual contract every year, and then that gives you support with all Dynamics products, and also gives you support with any third-party add-ons like BI360, et cetera. And they're fixed rate, so they don't change. You prepay for them at the beginning of the year, and then just renew it every year, and you get cases. Some of them include training hours. Some of them include other things as well. So be sure to go to our website, and if you want any additional information on support contracts, please feel free to email us. At the end of this webinar, a survey will appear. The survey is designed to help us evaluate and obviously improve our webinars. And if you could take a few moments to provide us with your feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. And want to thank Tom for presenting today, and thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can email us at info@mig.com. And any questions, or if you'd like to see a more detailed demo, or if you want to get more information on BI360, definitely email us there, and then we'll get in contact with you and go from there. And if you want to learn more about any of our services that we offer, including support contracts and training and what have you, you can go to www.mig.com.